All right, guys, about to kick off Week 14 recap. It's Sunday night, so it's just after watching some two great, exciting games with neither team that I had winning the game. We have the Rams and the Patriots going to the Super Bowl, which again, not really excited about the Super Bowl considering I hate the Patriots, but it is what it is. With all kind of happening, let's kind of kick it off. Before we even start off, let me, because I know we've been in a lot of chatting going back and forth on the group. Want to start off by kind of apologizing to Lamont in terms of I went over my player limits. Really, no excuse for this. It's one of the things that's kind of like one of my pet peeves, and I get annoyed when people do it where they miscount their plays, and somehow there is absolutely no excuse. I need to do a better job. It's 35 players, so I should have done a better job at counting it up. My fault on that, Lamont. So kind of want to just kind of put a public service announcement to everybody. I haven't looked at everyone else's matchup. I'll probably do what I'm going, looking at how you played out this week, but just want to kind of just kick off by kind of just saying, one of the things that we just got to do a better job of, and again that now starts with me. Just make sure that we count our players, just because it's frustrating and extremely difficult. Like, for example, if for whatever reason, like if my matchup with Lamont now would have caused me to have lost, like in trying to refigure it out just so the standings reflected accordingly, it's just frustrating and a lot of time consuming on my part. So again, just want to apologies to Lamont on that, on my complete fuck up. So that being said, kind of jumping right into it, I'll jump into my matchup with Lamont just because that's where I kind of started off. Again, my apologies on that, sir. 7-4. Lamont, for the most part, dominated me this whole week from the beginning. Ultimately, what ultimately wound up happening is he played a lot more plays than me to begin the week off, and ultimately I was able to catch up. But really made the difference, to be honest with you, wasn't the fact that he had played like one or two more players than me. Was Saturday night. Saturday night, my team collectively, I think, played 6 people. They scored 153, which was a huge difference for me in this matchup because it allowed me to get field goals made and points ultimately, which was a huge shift in my matchup with Lamont, considering there was a lot of close categories. Free throw percentage was close. 3-pointers, I won by 6. Turnovers, I won, and I've never won turnovers. I won a turnover by 4. Double doubles, he won by 3. Looking at Lamont's team, man, I mean, for the last few weeks, I mean, Lamont's team's been one of those teams that's been hard for me to kind of figure out. He's been just putting up high numbers when it comes to rebounds, when it comes to points, when it comes to double doubles, and also blocks. And again, that didn't let him down in any kind of way. This week he had 31 blocks. Looking at his team, ultimately, really strong performance from his star players in a lot of ways. And looking at, Blake Griffiths played 3 times, did Blake things. Aldridge played 4 times, which I think was a game changer for him, especially having a really great Sunday night for him. Reggie Bullock has turned out to be a really great pickup for him. And then, outside of that, Jamal Murray, he got Bagley back, which was huge for him. Moving on to my team and looking at it, lost Tristan Thompson this week, lost Gallo this week. I had Ariza play 1 time. So anybody who has anybody on Washington, New York, it was a terrible week for you because those teams only played 1 time ultimately. However, I will say by the grace of God and just me just having just players ball out on Saturday night, made this and gave me the real close margin win to Lamont. And looking at my team and who really performed for the team. I mean, Devin Booker really gets the MVP of the week, and so does Vooch in a lot of ways. Both Vooch and Devin Booker clearly, by far, carried the workload of my team, while people like Tobias Harris showed up, but Gallo was terrible for me this week. Jokic only played 3 times this week, so he was really minimized in terms of his performance. Played 2 times. He was minimizing his performance that he had in terms of this week. And Levine gave me 2 straight games of 9 points. So thank you, Zach, who's supposed to be my scorer. But again, looking at that matchup, I was able to get the win 7-4 against Lamont. Moving on into the next matchup, which is Dwayne against Lenny. Shout out to Dwayne. He's on a 2-game winning streak now. He was able to beat Lenny 8-3. And looking at Dwayne's team, something, again, like I indicated before, I mean, Harden played 3 times for him, but in the 3 games that Harden played, he didn't score under 30 points in any of those 3 games. He had Towns play for him 3 times and was able to really beat Lenny quite convincingly. I think one of the things I said last week is that I think Dwayne needs to make a better job of just surrounding his, his two alphas with some pieces, and I think he did that. Justin Winslow's been a really great pickup for him on his team. While also, Tatum and Larry Markkinen have been really solid as well. So, maybe Dwayne's right, man. Maybe he seems off. This is the start of a huge run. And looking at Lenny's team, tough loss for him. I think Lenny's just really trying to get his team in a decent position to try to make a little bit of noise at the end of the season. Kyle Lowry, somebody who's been kind of battling injury, but he played for Lenny this week. Buddy Hield, shout out to you, Lenny, on getting that trade off on me. Buddy's been a beast for you, carrying, scoring low for your team. But I do think it's hard when you look at someone like Lou Williams, who didn't play for Lenny this week. And I also know Andre Drummond also wasn't didn't play, missed some games for Lenny this week, while John Collins continues to be a beast for him. DeAndre Jordan played only twice, so that was also kind of tough for Lenny as well. When looking at Lenny's team, I mean, a lot of his good players, like he had Kevin Knox, only played one time for him, so it's kind of hard for him this week. When looking at a lot of his core players, only played 2 to 1 time in the week. Moving along to the next matchup, you had Gavon against Cheeks. I'm not even paying attention to Gavon anymore. Huge shout out to him on the win. This win actually propels him up to 3rd place. He beat Cheeks pretty convincingly, 9-2. Looking at Gavon's team again, Kuzma continues to be a beast for him. Blake Griffin is having a freaking all-star campaign. Well, also Russell Westbrook had a really good week for him, and he got Eric Gordon back ultimately, which was huge for his team, even though he was only able to play Eric Gordon just one time. Moving along, and he got Rudy Gay back as well. Moving along, looking at Cheeks' team, tough loss for Cheeks, I think. Honestly, I think Cheeks is one of those teams that's currently hovering around the 10th place, trying to move himself up into playoff contention to the top 6. This loss is kind of a hard loss for him, especially when factoring in someone like Gavon, and this Cantor only played once. Hardaway only played once. It didn't even do that good. He only had 8 points in the one game that he played. Really could have been a chance for Cheeks to get the upset. But looking at Cheeks' team, he did only have Durant play twice for him. And now you have Cousins in that mix. So it's kind of OKC, might not be bit of a rotating chair in terms of who's eating between Cousins, Curry, Thompson, and now you got Boogie, and you can't forget Draymond as well. Good pickup on Cheeks though by getting PJ Tucker. I will say that was a solid pickup. PJ has performed and done good for him. I know Cheeks only played him one time. It was against the Lakers, and he didn't do that well for him. But overall, I mean, with Capella being out, I think Tucker is somebody to kind of look to in the upcoming weeks. But Cheeks took a hard loss when he lost Carter Jr. He's probably going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. And it's hard because he's on one of those teams that, he's Chicago, so they're not really good with giving you accurate updated reports when people are out. But huge loss for Cheeks, but continues to have Bradley Beal to carry the team. Moving right along, huge win for Ant. Kind of needed this in a very big way. He beat Dre 8-3. And looking at Dre's team, a huge shout out to Dre, man. Dre made one of the smartest pickups of the week, and Ant probably made the second smartest pickup. Ant picked up Rondo because Ball's now out, so that Rondo's going to be a big factor over in LA. And then Andre actually picked up Portis a few days ago, and now with Wendell Carter out, Portis is a big piece. So both of these guys made some really great pickups when thinking about the upcoming weeks. And looking at Andre's team overall, Willikine Stein only played 3 times for him and was decent. Gordon Hayward continues to be perplexing and frustrating in a lot of ways. Well, Steph Curry and also Steph Curry, and also he had Kawhi Leonard, who sat out 2 games this week, which is ironic considering they weren't back-to-backs. So I can imagine that's frustrating, and also kind of took the wins out of Andre's sails. Looking over at Ant's team, shout out to you on the Derrick Rose thing, man. He had a game winner tonight. Continues to be a perplexingly surprising player for this year. Same thing can be said about Harold and also Sabonis, man. And I picked out that you picked up JaMychal Green, which I think is a smart move when looking ahead into the future. I think and Emmanuel Mudiay, man, played only 1 game, but in that 1 game he had 25 points. I continue to be impressed by Ant's pickups in terms of they really bubble up and produce in a lot of ways, and they're not big names or flashy names either. So shout out to Ant for playing the waiver wire game strong, and shout out to him on this win. Next matchup that I will go into was Blake against Darion. Huge loss for Darion, man. But huge win for Blake in a lot of ways, man. I think the trade with Dwayne has given Blake's team some new life. When looking at that team, when looking at his team, it's kind of different now. Draymond Green has actually been decent for him, to be honest with you, which I thought was probably one of the weakest links in that trade. Draymond had 2 good games for him, while also, even when he played against the Clippers on the 18th, he almost gave him somewhat of a triple-double. He had 7, 9, and 8. Which is huge when considering, again, I thought Draymond was looking at that trade in terms of all the good plays he got. He got T.J. Warren, who's just a scorer, and Jrue Holiday, who, with Anthony Davis out 1 to 2 weeks, you expect his workload would only increase. And then when you go down to Darion, again, huge loss for him. He's trying to really piece it together with LeBron being out, who really provides a lot of stats. It's kind of hard for him, and also, and looking at his team, Luka only played twice. Which I think also is kind of hard when you're trying to, find pieces to substitute in LeBron, and you had Young only play twice as well. So huge loss for Darion on that one. Huge win for Blake. Going into what I thought was a matchup of the week, going into it, and it didn't let me down in any kind of way. Was a matchup between Steven and Jones. When looking at this matchup, it was very interesting. When considering it came down 8-3, but the score really is not indicative of what happened. When you look at the three-pointers made, Jones won that by 3. Jones won field goals made by 5. So again, a lot of close categories, double-double. Jones won by 2. And by blocks, Jones won blocks by 3. So again, a lot of close categories. So 8-3 doesn't really paint the picture. Going to Steven really quickly. Anthony Davis being out is just tough. It's hard. I think Anthony Davis missed only a game for him, but still, it's tough. Not having AD ultimately. You know what? I actually stand mistaken. AD actually played all 3 games for him this week, so I'm actually wrong about that. AD not playing didn't impact his week against Jones, but again, just looking out into the future, it's going to play a part. Looking at the rest of his team, DeMarcus Cousins back, guys. Just in case you missed the notice, Steven put it on the waiver. Steven put it on the group chat that DeMarcus Cousins is available for trade. So hit him up. He's there. And looking at Steven's team, Siakam continues to be just a freak. And then you have Sato and Bryant, not, only played 1 game this week. So, and Kemba's Kemba. Again, if you guys are really interested in DeMarcus Cousins, you guys should definitely hit up Steven. He definitely put out there to the group chat that Cousins is up there for sale. And looking at Jones' team, exactly what I anticipated and expected. I think especially with Anthony Davis out, which is ironic because Anthony Davis being out kills Steven, but also helps Jones in some way because he has Marichek, who I expect will take a bigger leap forward. Him and Randall will take a bigger leap forward, and Jrue Holiday, obviously, with Anthony Davis out. His team is actually, this is the healthiest it's been all year in a lot of ways, and looking at his team. So really good win for him and his team moving forward. Especially being the defending champ, he doesn't need much added motivation. And that's really the recap for this week, and just doing quickly looking at next week's matchup. I'm playing against Darion. Lenny plays against Cheeks. You have Ant playing against Dwayne. You have Jones playing against Gavon. You have Lamont playing against Andre. You have Steven playing against Blake. For me, the 2 matchups that I would probably closely match, I like the Anthony and Dwayne matchup, just because if Dwayne is really about trying to move himself up in the standings, while Anthony is trying to really solidify himself and get in the playoff seed. And then it'd be interesting to see how Gavon and matches up against Jones, which would be very fascinating and interesting. So those would be the 2 matchups that I would probably say are the matchups of the week heading into next week. So with that being said, again, it's the same spew, same message I deliver to you guys all the time. Continue to be active. Continue to manage your team. Don't be a bozo like me and go over your player limit. Stay within your 35 player limit. See, I'm saying 35 player limit. And continue to talk with your league mates in terms about trades and things of that nature. With that being said, I will let you guys go and enjoy your MLK Day. All right, ladies, gentlemen. Talk to you guys. See you guys next week. Peace.